Saw this comment on our YouTube community post a few days ago. Had to start today's show here on a Friday. Look at this. I'm rocking my national championship shirt, Jack, here. And so this was the question. Who would win in a game 2023 Michigan or 2024 Ohio State? I mean, I don't know how this is a point of discussion. And I've seen it all over Twitter, right? Ohio State's national championship win January 20th over a weak Notre Dame team 3.5 weeks ago. And you will have Ohio State media members and Ohio State fans and Ohio State players saying, oh, we had this tough run that we beat Tennessee and the SEC runner-up and Oregon and Notre Dame. Like, that wasn't that tough of a run, okay? That their national title team that didn't make the Big Ten championship, that didn't beat Michigan, is somehow better than Michigan's 2023 team. And I think that it is preposterous. By the way, while you're here, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/MichiganTV, to get great takes like this here on YouTube from me all the time. But let's take a look at this hypothetical matchup. 24 Ohio State, 23 Michigan. You've got a wild imbalance at quarterback. Michigan just, preposterously better at that position and many other ones. But 15 wins for Michigan in 15 games. Ohio State had 16 games, only had 14 wins, 2 losses to Oregon and to Michigan. 1 Big Ten championship for Michigan, 0 for Ohio State. Won the game, the Michigan-Ohio State game, the game. Yes for Michigan, no for Ohio State. I think this one is important. Beat the SEC champs. I'm going to pull up my phone really quick here, Jack, so you can come to me if you want. I've got this in the drafts. I drafted it up. Okay, here it is. All right. Do you know who the last 19 years, going back to 2005 Texas, I think it was, right? That's 19 national champions. Which one won the national title without being the SEC champ or beating the SEC champ? Who was that?
2024 Ohio State.
2024 Ohio State, the most Mickey Mouse run of all time. You beat a Big 12 team in Texas. You beat the number 8 place team in the SEC, basically Tennessee, with no talent, nothing they even have to worry about. A guy, a quarterback who can barely even throw the ball. This is patently absurd. Should I remind you guys? Should I take us back to what we witnessed last week in November of 2024. The backups from the Michigan National Championship team, a.k.a. the starters, plus a few guys that were starters, 4 or 5 starters that came over from 2023. Michigan's 2023 backup team went into Columbus in 2024 and beat Ohio State again. So you can make an argument that the 2023 backups, because remember, you didn't have Will Johnson, you didn't have Colson Loveland, okay, so really, it's 2 starters that were, 1 starter? I think Mason Graham is the only one, and Colson Love wasn't there. I don't even know if there was a starter. And a single starter on offense. That 2023 team played in the game in 2024. And if I'm not correct, Ernest, no linebackers were starters. Rod Moore wasn't there. I think Mason Graham might have been the only starter to play in 23 and 24. So the backups from Michigan from that 2023 team beat the 2024 national champions. Here is the hypothetical game that I have it going out because of that game. Because of the stats they put up this year, right? This hypothetical matchup, Will Howard in the actual 2024 game, 19 of 33, 175, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. I've got him going 14 of 31 against a much better Michigan secondary in 2023. 268 yards, a lot of junk yards down the field that don't really turn into anything, and 2 interceptions. Travion Henderson, nothing much going on the ground. He had 10 carries for 21 yards in the game in 2024. We've got him 16 for 44. On the other side, Jeremiah Smith, 4 catches, 55 yards, nothing impactful. J.J. McCarthy, an efficient 17 of 22, 201 yards, a touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. Blake Corum just rolls over Ohio State again for 141 yards and 1 touchdown. And then Colson Loveland didn't get in the end zone, but 7 catches, 88 yards. The time machine takes 2023 Michigan to the future, or 2024 Ohio State back to the past. Hypothetical matchup. I think Michigan wins that game by 3 scores. You say, that's crazy, James. That's crazy. Well, 2022 Michigan went to Columbus and beat Ohio State by 3 scores. 2021, Michigan beat Ohio State by 2.5 scores, and it was only for some bad luck, right? Some injuries, Jim Harbaugh not being there, or the 2023 game would have been similar. 2.5, 3 scores, 16, 18, 20 points, 22 points, like it was in 2022. And I think that Michigan team had so many advantages: defensive line, the secondary, the quarterback position, running back position. Even though Ohio State will say their running backs were great, Michigan had the advantage. The only position that 2024 Ohio State had was the wide receiver group, in my opinion. Michigan had better tight end. The 2023 Michigan team had better offensive linemen. So that is my breakdown. Michigan wins it by 3 scores. The Buckeyes do not get in the end zone. Who would win a hypothetical matchup if you could time travel between the last 2 national champions, 2023 Ohio State, Michigan, 2024. It's kind of tough to kind of say these, Jackson. You're going to confuse the years. 2024 Ohio State. Just go down in the comments. Give me a 23 or a 24 below. I'm going to get some Ohio State fans. I'm going to get a lot of Ohio State fans in here jumping in there, giving more commentary. Let me know what you guys think, 23 or 24. Now let's take a look at spring practice. Michigan kicks off spring practice 4 weeks from today, and I am so excited to talk to you about what we are expecting from it with some questions from you guys. And you know what else I'm excited about? I am excited to have Factor back as a sponsor of the Michigan Football Report. If you're ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They are dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. Heck, and you can lose 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor's keto meals. Based on randomized controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto, results will vary depending on diet and exercise. They've got 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week. It's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals with Factor. You choose some preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, whatever you want. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/MichiganChat50 off. It's down there at the bottom of the screen. We're also putting it in the second paragraph of the description and in the reply to the pinned comment. So you got a couple places you can click on it. Go there. Get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. You got to use that URL. factormeals.com/MichiganChat50 off and the promo code MichiganChat50 off. Get 50% off your first box and free shipping. I love Factor. Jack loves Factor. If you don't like coming home and eating unhealthy, get going with Factor. You will absolutely love it. So nutritious, so amazing. Factormeals.com/MichiganChat50 off. Put a call for some mailbag questions. Want to hear what you guys had to say on Wednesday and Thursday. Got a good response from Twitter, a few from YouTube, the Instagram account as well. Juan Blue. Jack, toss my my Twitter handle up there. Make sure that people know where to see me as well as we're talking about these social networks. If you don't follow me elsewhere, if you don't follow the show elsewhere, Juan Blue, my guy, says, what are we working on at wide receiver? Seems to address a lot of issues kind of this offseason, but we definitely need help and improvement there. Last year's crew was very disappointing. As I said yesterday's video, I think last year's crew was maybe the worst in the last 30 years for sure. A lot of questions on this topic, so let's go to this one from Shane Alessio. Who will be the leading receiver for the Wolverines? And one more from John Horde over on the Instagram account. Thoughts on Michigan's new offensive coordinator, Chip Lindsey, coming over from North Carolina after 2 seasons, and how the QBs will work with him, especially Underwood. So all kind of a similar topics. What do we expect out of this offense? What do we expect out of this OC? What do we expect out of these wide receivers? Here is the leaked spring practice depth chart. Donovan McCulley, Fred Moore, and Samaj Morgan. But how about that one right there? You got the guy coming over from UMass and Simpson. Could be a game breaker, 700 yards a couple years ago, left the program 2 games into the year. I do think that Soup Campbell, right, coming over as the assistant wide receiver coach after being with Michigan for, 13 years, I think it was, from 95 to 2007. 17 years later, he's been all over the place. He was the guy that got Michigan wide receivers to the modern way of playing in college football. In 9 of his last 10 years, Michigan had a 1,000-yard receiver. I'm not sure if they're going to have that this year, but I do trust that Chip Lindsey came in to throw the ball a little more, certainly more than they did this past year with maybe one of the worst quarterback situations in all of college football, and more than Jim Harbaugh did, even with J.J. McCarthy. So I expect Michigan to throw the ball at least 22 to 25 times per game, about 5 to 7 more than they did, as long as they're winning, right? Obviously, there's some games where you're going to throw a lot more than that, like they did last year, if they had to come from behind and come up. But it does depend on who the quarterback's going to be. Is it going to be Bryce Underwood? Is it going to be Mikey Keene? Early on, I would say if it's Keene, they probably throw the ball a little bit more, but we will see. Now, Chip Lindsey last year without Drake May, right? He was the quarterback. He was the OC at North Carolina in 2023 with Drake May. Last year without May, what did their wide receiver group do? Let's take a look. J.J. Jones was their leading receiver. 36 catches, 582 yards, 6 touchdowns, right? It's not that great a performance for a big-time college football team. Certainly better than Michigan's. How about Kobe Paysauer? 20 catches, 365, and no touchdowns. And then your third leading wide receiver, right? Not necessarily your third leading pass catcher overall, but wide receiver position, Nate McCullum, 24 catches, 274, and a touchdown. The interesting part, after J.J. Jones, their second and third leading pass catcher was the tight end and the running back. So that could either speak to that really being a weak wide receiver crew. Maybe it was. That could be the reason. Or that maybe Chip Lindsey just throws the ball to the tight end, like Michigan's done very well. The running back position, which I think, frankly, Michigan did not do well the past 2 years. I think Donovan Edwards' skill set was woefully mismanaged by Sherrone Moore's offense and, of course, what they had going on last year at that offense. So we're going to see, right? 4 weeks from today, Michigan's on the field for spring practice. I didn't have Chip Lindsey on my bingo card as Michigan OC, but he's the guy that they picked. I think it's a better OC hire than what Ohio State's has, right? They've got Brian Hartline, who got the job. He got demoted after one spring practice. So we're going to find out. I think there's going to be so many questions going into this spring practice. It's going to be one of the more fun ones that we've covered with all the excitement coming off a national championship season, then a 5-loss season, but you got so much to look forward to. New OC, 5-star superstar quarterback, some transfer wide receivers, going to be an exciting spring, and that gets kicked off 4 weeks from today. Let me ask you guys the question, who will be Michigan's leading wide receiver? Let's just say in catches, right? Most catches. Donovan McCulley, the transfer from Indiana, who had about 800 yards, 750, 800 yards in 2023, then left the program in 24. Fred Moore didn't make as big of an impact last year as I thought he would as a true freshman. Samaj Morgan, he might actually lead the team in catches, but not yards, if you know what I'm saying. He gets a lot of those bubble screens. Or someone else, let me know. 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1 for McCulley, 2 for Moore, 3 for Samaj Morgan, or 4 for someone else. Brew Robin Prods. I'm guessing that means productions. Who will start, Mikey Keene or Bryce Underwood? Been a fan since birth. Use the hashtag Michigan. So here's my spring depth chart, right? This is going into first padded practice of spring. Davis Warner started last year. I think he's going to drop back to the QE3. But Michigan doesn't really know what they have with, is he ready to be the quarterback in Bryce Underwood? A trip to Oklahoma in the second game of the year. I think there is at least a plan you could see that could crystallize where Keene gets the job to start the year. Season opener, gets the job Oklahoma, gets the third game of the year back at home, fourth game of the year on the road against Nebraska. If he's playing well, maybe it's a McCarthy-McNamara situation where Bryce Underwood's coming in, playing a bunch, future looks bright, Keene's not going to be there in 2026, so you know it's Underwood no matter what. Or maybe at some point Michigan loses a game. They get through that stretch, but they drop one in the seventh game of the year or something like that. And then, okay, bye week, let's flip the switch, go to Underwood. I hope Underwood is all he is hyped up to be, and he is the guy from day one, maybe even like practice 5 here in the spring. But again, we've all been fooled by big-time recruits not making an impact into their second, sometimes third year. And Bryce Underwood, maybe the most hyped recruit and most expected recruit for things to happen potentially from day one in Michigan football history. Coney coming in on Twitter with Bryce Underwood Bosa in his freshman season beat Ohio State again. He will, because Michigan will beat Ohio State again this year. Whether he's the starting quarterback or not, I think we're going to find out just based, I think we're going to know, Jack. We're going to know by the end of spring practice if he is going to be the starting quarterback just based on what you see as starter. If he's skipping balls off the turf, if he's throwing balls deep and getting intercepted, he's not going to be the guy. And maybe, you're going to give it to Keene for 4, 5, 6 games, etc. If Underwood's in command and he's going, Michigan's not going to risk their future or give any snaps to a guy like Mikey Keene, who at best is a 500 quarterback, at Fresno State or UCF, etc. Maybe a little bit better with Michigan. But I think if Keene's the quarterback all year next year, I think your ceiling probably is 9-3, maybe 10-2. if Underwood's the guy, that means he's better than the guy who started at Fresno and almost beat Michigan and UCF, and he would go up there and have more potential. Michigan could be a little more aggressive, use his legs a little bit. I think Michigan's ceiling can be a little bit higher than what it was with Keene. But it has been 1,903 days, 1,903 days since Ohio State has beaten Michigan. It will never happen as long as we live, Jack, as long as this show lives. Beat Ohio State again. Comment Bosa. I see so many of you guys do it, and I thank you for it. Every show, there's 20, 30, 50 comments of just Bosa, Bosa, Bosa. We love it. It's you guys. It's us. We put the vibes out there, and it's turned into 4 straight wins in 5 years without losing to this team. How about Random Things Channel? Would you rather have Wilton Spate or QB or Cade McNamara? That's a really good question. It's a really good comparison, and they're almost kind of like the same exact guy. If you asked me this 3 years ago, I would have said Cade for sure. But, what we saw with him in Iowa, now he's transferring again. I can't remember, he's like East Tennessee State or something like that. I'm going to, he won a – I like Cade McNamara a lot. I thought some of this weird stuff that happened, he kind of seemed to get salty in 2022 and almost like leave the program and be a jerk to JJ and then, take shots at Michigan. So I'm still going to say Cade at this point. He beat Ohio State. He won a Big Ten championship. He, beat Penn State with a very clutch play. Wilton Spate, I think, was a more of a, definitely similar style quarterback, but was more the benefactor of an absurdly elitely talented team in that 2016 season. With Michigan, we saw what happened in 2017 and beyond. He really didn't make it happen after that 1 year as being Michigan's full-time starter. How about this? Happy G! Are we going to see an actual offense or more of the same old conservative crap? If the same old crap, what are the expectations for the running back room? I guess it'll be a good running back room, right? We saw what Jordan Marshall has in the bowl game against a full-strength Alabama team. You got Justice Haynes, 5-star. Was the kind of 1B quasi-starter for Alabama, but really didn't take off, was getting 6, 7, 8 carries per game. And then Ben Hall, I don't know. I think Ben Hall is a guy that you might want to look at after spring ball. Maybe he transfers out. Maybe he waits another year, but you're not going to see him being a guy who's getting 15 or 20 carries at all in his Michigan's career. Once you're in year 3, year 4, we know what you're getting. There's very rarely any exceptions. Hassan Haskins maybe being one of them, but we did see some really strong glimpses of Hassan in 2019 and 2020 before his big breakout year in 2021. I think the offense will be conservative for the most part until one of these quarterbacks feels comfortable, makes some plays downfield, gets excited, high fives, chest bumps his guys, and then isn't getting nervous about making all these mistakes like you would expect certainly from a freshman quarterback. But if it's Bryce Underwood from week 1, I could see Michigan throwing the ball 12 to 15 to 18 times only, and then running the ball 40 times, just like they did in big stretches of the Jim Harbaugh era. Once Underwood has his feet wet and is making plays, whether it's halfway through this year or maybe not until the 26 season, I do think Sherrone Moore is a step away removed from the Harbaugh style of thinking and does his own thing. I think Michigan will be a little more aggressive and start throwing 28 to 32, 33, 34 times per game and maybe only running the ball around that same amount of time, a true 50-50 split. We will have another video for you on Saturday. Guess who we got, Joe? Check the show. We got Charles Woodson coming on the Michigan Football Report. We talked to him recently, and we've got an interview talking Ohio State and more. So make sure you guys check out Saturday's video, and we'll have another video for you on Sunday. Till then, go Blue.